Hello, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Kerr, back here with Alex Meyer. We've already discussed our Golden Globe predictions for nominations on the film side. Now we're about to head into the TV categories. And unlike last time where I read off the predicted lineups on Gold Derby, Alex is going to do that. So he's going to read off the predicted lineup for the TV categories, and then I'll pretty much jump in with how identical those predictions are to mine, and then we'll get into his. So, Alex, are you ready?
Yep. All right. So the first category is Best Drama Series, and Gold Derby's five predictions are Killing Eve, The Handmaid's Tale, Homecoming, The Americans, and Pose. Now, I have those same five, but not in the same order.
Well,
I
same here,
have
although I do have something else getting into the fifth slot, which we'll get into, but you?
I have Homecoming, Killing Eve, The Handmaid's Tale, Pose, and The Americans. That's my ranking.
Ah, okay. I have Homecoming, Pose, Killing Eve, The Americans, and I did debate on whether or not to put in The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, it, of course, did win last year for the first season, but then again, this second season did get a lot of backlash, where I do wonder if that could keep it from getting in this year. Could you see that happening?
No, in this case, probably not, just because we've had it's still got general acclaim overall. I think
Yes, it did.
the only really controversial aspect was probably its finale, which really split critics and audiences down the middle. And I think it's still relevant in terms of today's society. I mean, especially with the recent uh, Brett Kavanaugh Supreme Court confirmation and the accusations by Christine Blasey Ford against him of sexual assault. And obviously, The Handmaid's Tale is about men who pretty much turn women into concubines and
Hmm.
pretty much rape them every month to try to get them pregnant. Because of falling birth rates. I think the real world connections could still help it get in for now. We'll have to see, and if it in its third season, if it improves or if it slips in quality, and I think that will be the determining point for whether or not it continues to get nominated here.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, we should remind people that while the second season was definitely acclaimed, there were detractors that thought the show went way too far. Especially since they didn't have a complete, well, because the entire novel by Margaret Atwood was all depicted in the first season, where the second season they literally had to start from scratch.
Hmm. Yeah, so they're in like free territory at this point, story wise.
Hmm.
But I have Homecoming in the top spot because it is it is the new TV series from Sam Esmail, who also created Mr. Robot, which won in its very first season, and
It did.
hopefully Homecoming won't drop off the radar as quickly as Mr. Robot did in its later seasons. But
Hmm.
I think that plus the star power of Julia Roberts will really help it here.
Yeah,
Although
which
Killing Eve could certainly make an impact, given that it's about two women who are cast in roles usually done by men in these types of TV shows.
hmm
Because usually when we have spy versus assassin, it's almost always two men going against each other. But now in this case, it's two women. And of course, we have all the buzz about Sandra Oh and her historic Emmy nomination because
yeah.
we don't usually see women of Asian descent being cast in these types of roles. And so we're seeing a lot of progress in terms of diversity, and that could certainly help it there. But I think its problem will be that it's on a very small network, BBC America, and that doesn't usually generate a lot of ratings. Like there, that was the home of Orphan Black, a show which had its fans, but never really was a ratings grabber.
hmm Well, yes, and of course, and we should also keep people in mind that the thing the Globes love to do on the TV side is be able to put a new show on the map, and the top three we have getting in Homecoming, Pose, and Killing Eve are all first year shows.
Mhm. And of course, Pose is the newest show from Ryan Murphy, who at this point is pretty much the modern day Norman Lear, although he's much more diverse in terms of his storytelling than Norman Lear is, because Norman Lear mainly stuck to comedies, whereas Ryan Murphy's not only he's done musicals, he's done horror, he's done straight up drama now, which is kind of what Pose is. And plus, Pose can probably be, I guess, one of the most diverse shows in the history of television in terms of race, gender, and sexual orientation.
Yeah.
Because it has like it has like I believe it has the most amount of transgender actors and actresses in one TV show ever.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because
So
that
I guess
show.
so. And I just put the handmaid. So I just put it into my.
Okay, yeah, because Pose, that's about the, I guess, the LGBTQ ball culture scene of the 1980s. So it's a period drama too, so that could capture some voters' attention.
Yes. And I guess, are you ready to go into best actor in a drama series?
Yep. And so Gold Derby's rankings are Matthew Rhys, The Americans; Kevin Costner, Yellowstone; Sterling K. Brown, This Is Us; John Krasinski, Jack Ryan; and Milo Ventimiglia, This Is Us. So I have.
Might be. Oh well, it seems. I just want to say, it seems he might be breaking up a little. But yeah, I think I was able to get what you said.
Okay, yeah, I'm here. I'm having a little connection issues with you as well, but I can still generally hear you. Oh, and now you're frozen there. Oh, there you are. Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
I have four of the five, but in a slightly different order. I have one bold prediction, but I have a feeling he'll get in just because his show is also scheduled to get in as well. And I don't see how you can nominate the show without nominating at least one performer. So my own rankings are Matthew Rhys, Milo Ventimiglia, Kevin Costner, Sterling K. Brown, and then Billy Porter for Pose.
Oh wow, that's a good one. And my rankings are very different, and they are Kevin Costner. I have him up front because he is the movie star, and we know the Globes love to award movie stars to come to television. And I also have Matthew Rhys, Stefan James, who could benefit from visibility factor since he is one of the stars of If Beale Street Could Talk on the film side. Milo Ventimiglia and J.K. Simmons for counterpart.
Mm. I mean, I guess Simmons could be the spoiler here, considering he's playing two characters. Um, I guess with Kevin Costner, I think he'll get in just because of his movie star status. But I think the problem with his show is that his show isn't necessarily on a prestigious network. It's on the Paramount network, which used to be the Spike TV network, which isn't exactly the most sophisticated network, possibly. Whereas when we've seen other movie stars win on the TV side, like with Billy Bob Thornton for Goliath, for instance, they were usually on a show that was on a prestigious network like Netflix or Amazon.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So, and I guess I took out John Krasinski for Jack Ryan just because maybe voters may feel we don't really need more Jack Ryan right now. And I don't know. I mean,
Well,
I've heard that show is okay, but I haven't really heard like it be praised as like one of the best shows of the year.
well, yeah. But then again, if club voters are looking for another movie star in the first year show, I mean, John Krasinski does fit that mold. I mean, he's already having a great year with that and A Quiet Place, and I guess wouldn't it be nice if he and Emily Blunt were both nominated this year together?
Hmm. But then again, John Krasinski's not like a movie star with a capital M like Kevin
Well,
Costner is.
Well, that's true. I mean, he's, I guess, still kind of a TV actor. Well, who's having a good transition to film, not over the top, but still. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, I could totally see Sterling K. Brown returning for This Is Us. I mean, he won last year, so I could see him returning to the to the game.
Yeah. But I have Milo Ventimiglia ranked higher than him because Sterling K. Brown's already been rewarded, and we've seen a lot of focus on Milo Ventimiglia's character Jack this past year, not only from the how they finally revealed the manner of Jack's death, but now we're seeing, more investigation into Jack's past, specifically with his time in the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. Well, yeah, yes. Yeah. I've heard that his character was a much bigger deal the second season than what he was in the first. So,
Mm-hmm.
I guess now on to best drama actress.
Okay, and Gold Derby's rankings are Sandra Oh, Killing Eve, Julia Roberts, Homecoming, Elizabeth Moss, The Handmaid's Tale, Kerry Russell, The Americans, and Jodie Comer, Killing Eve. So my rankings are I have Julia Roberts in first place. I was debating back and forth between her and Sandra Oh, but
But
I
Julia
ultimately,
is the movie star.
yep, which is why I put her here. And plus, Killing Eve debuted way back in the spring, and I don't think its second season drops till next year. So for some voters, it might be out of their minds, whereas Homecoming literally just dropped a few weeks ago. So it's going to be front and center right in the midst of voting. So it'll be fresher in their minds. And plus, Julia Roberts, she's a movie star with a capital M. So that's going to be a big factor. And then I have Elizabeth Moss in third because, she won this last year and she was still considered one of the best things about this new season. So, and if any Golden Globe voters were upset about her not winning another Emmy, they might feel they should reward her again here to make up for that. Then I have Kerry Russell in fourth place. And then in fifth place, I actually have Robin Wright for House of Cards.
I have those same five getting in. I mean, different order, obviously, but yeah, I have those same five.
So I mean, I think she'll get in just because it's House of Cards' final season, and she literally became the new face of the show following the firing of Kevin Spacey. So,
And I believe she was the one who really rallied everyone together once that whole, I guess, scandal happened.
mhm. Plus she won this category before a few years ago. So
Yeah, for the
voters,
very first season, which was a surprise.
so voters obviously might feel they should send her off with another to close out, kind of like what they did with John Hamm for Mad Men. Or
Right.
in the case of even though he wasn't nominated for his show's very first season, we did finally see Bryan Cranston win for the final season of Breaking Bad.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
voters clearly like to give actors and actresses a win on their last season,
Yeah.
especially if the show was a beloved show amongst audiences.
Which is actually why I have Kerry Russell in my third place ranking.
But I think, yeah, I have her higher just because of the Americans going out with a
No,
bang, basically.
you told me that Elizabeth Moss. You told me you have Elizabeth Moss in third.
No, I was trying to say I have Kerry Russell ranked higher than Robin Wright.
No, no, no. Oh wait. No, I did. No, I have Kerry Russell ranked higher than Robin Wright too.
Yeah, I was just trying to say I didn't have her ranked higher than Elizabeth Moss.
Huh.
I'm just saying Kerry Russell has a stronger chance of winning than Robin Wright because of the Americans going out with a bang in its final season, from what I've heard, because I've never watched the show. I've
Well,
been
neither
kind
have
of, I admit I've been kind of reluctant to watch it because I don't really want to root for Russian spies working against America, especially now that Vladimir Putin is president of Russia. I mean, it feels kind of weird, but I guess from what I've heard, the show's not trying to make you be anti-American, but still, it's an interesting but kind of odd premise, and I'm not sure if this show if they had been trying to make the show after Donald Trump won the presidency, I don't think it would have happened.
I. Yeah.
Well, if they had tried to make it set in the modern day, though, it definitely wouldn't have happened. Not unless the Russians are actually secretly working against their own country, kind of like in the Red Sparrow books, where you have a Russian spy secretly working with the CIA against her own country.
Hmm. Yes. So I'd say, yeah, my rankings overall are Julia Roberts, Sandra Oh, Kerry Russell, Robin Wright, and Elizabeth Moss.
Oh wow, you have Elizabeth Moss last.
Well, yeah, because as we've seen, well, the Globes don't usually like to go for repeat in terms of winners. I mean, it could happen though. I mean, but Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, I know while the final season of House of Cards was, received favorable reviews with very mixed reactions to the finale. I mean, still, I could see a case being made for Robin Wright. I mean, she has the
Mm,
narrative, but yeah, I mean, I at least have Elizabeth repeating a nomination here.
hmm
So
All right.
now on to.
And yes, best comedy or musical series.
Mhm.
And Gold Derby's rankings are The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Barry, Atlanta, The Good Place, and Glow. And I have my rankings are wait, let me just get back. So I have the same top, but then in fifth place, I actually have the Kaminsky method.
Mm, yeah, I have that getting in as well. I mean, it's from Chuck Lorre. It features two Hollywood-led icons, Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin. In fact, my rankings overall are Barry, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Atlanta, Forever, and the Kaminsky Method.
Hmm. All right. I just have Marvelous Mrs. Maisel in first place because I think it's gonna ride the wave of its Emmy win, and I think I think with all the stuff that's happened in the past year with Me Too and all the recent investigations against pretty much everyone from Harvey Weinstein to recently earlier this year Leslie Moonves, we're going to
Hmm.
see voters rally behind like a show with a strong independent woman at its center, especially a woman who is trying to break into a male dominated business being
Yeah.
comedy.
Hmm.
So but I do think Barry has the strong chance to upset because again, it's dealing with, well, I guess not necessarily comedy, but it's dealing with a former hitman trying to become an actor.
Hmm.
So we know the Golden Globes, like the Oscars, love movies and TV shows that are about show business itself.
Yes. Plus, Barry, I could is again. We talk about how the Hollywood Foreign Press usually likes to spread the wealth. I could just see them. Well, at least some maybe feeling. Well, we already gave it to Mrs. Maisel last year. We're going to go in different direction and give it to Barry this year.
I mean, it's possible, but we'll have to see what happens because sometimes when Golden Globes love a show, they really love a show. I mean, they did give it to Homeland 2 years in a row.
No, that's true. So I guess
And
that
they
maybe it's
they gave
not
it to
possible.
Mad Men, I believe, 3 years in a row.
Hmm.
So they do sometimes have their favorites.
Yes.
Um, and I think The Good Place will make a big splash, not just here, but in several, excuse me, categories because it's an NBC show for one thing, and that's what the Golden Globes are on. It's got some very familiar faces like Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. It's got a unique concept which could have been a disaster if done wrong, but critics seem to really love it, and it's got a diverse cast too, so there's that.
Hmm. Yes, and I guess this makes for a good segue to the next category.
All right, and then that is best TV comedy, yeah, best actor in a TV series, comedy or musical, and and Gold Derby's rankings are Bill Hader, Barry, Donald Glover, Atlanta, Jim Carrey, Kidding, Michael Douglas, The Kaminsky Method, and Ted Danson, The Good Place. And I have the same five, but in a very different. I have a pretty different order. I do have Bill Hader and Donald Glover in the top two, but then I have Ted Danson in third, Michael Douglas in fourth, and Jim Carrey in fifth.
Oh, interesting. Well, I have those same five getting in, but in a very different ranking. Like I have Bill Hader winning. I could see him just riding off the wave of his recent Emmy victory. But in second, I have Michael Douglas because as we talked about, Hollywood Foreign Press loves to award a movie star and who comes to television, especially in a first-year show, which leads to my third place ranking, Jim Carrey, and then followed by Donald Glover and Ted Danson.
Mm. Well, I think Donald Glover could stand a better chance just because Atlanta underperformed at the Emmys, and in its episode, Teddy Perkins of its recent season was considered by many to be the best TV episode of any TV show that year. And probably in 50 years from now, it'll probably be ranked among individual greatest TV episodes of all time based on the amount of acclaim it got. And maybe that could help him win here, possibly in an upset over Bill Hader. But I have Ted Danson in third just because he's a TV comedy legend,
That's true.
and so that could certainly help him here. Whereas with Michael Douglas, he's already a winner before and for other things, so they may not feel he's
Including Behind
unique.
the Candelabra.
True, so they may feel he's not really in need of another win. And with Jim Carrey and Kidding, I've heard good things about that show, but it hasn't really garnered like a lot of like buzz or like, you know, like it hasn't really been talked about as like the must-watch show of the season.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, Jim Carrey is often known for doing a lot of idiosyncratic things outside of acting, so maybe that might turn some voters off. So, yeah. Uh, and then for Best TV Comedy Actress, the contenders are, according to Gold Derby, Rachel Brosnahan, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Alison Brie, Glow, Maya Rudolph, Forever, Issa Rae, Insecure, and Jennifer Garner, Camping. And my lineup is very, well, pretty different from that. I do have a few contenders from that, but I also have some surprises, including one who I have no idea if she'll get in at all, but I could possibly see her getting in just because of what her role is and its overall legacy. So my rankings are Rachel Brosnahan, Alison Brie, but then in third place I have Kristen Bell for The Good Place.
Mm.
Then in fourth place I have Issa Rae, and then fifth race, I'm sure Andrew Carden will love that I have her here, Candice Bergen for Murphy Brown.
Oh wow! I would kind of. Well, I certainly wouldn't mind seeing that happen. But then again, the Murphy Brown revival hasn't been the most buzzed about TV revival among the TV revivals happening recent years. From Roseanne, well, now the Connors, Twin Peaks, and Will and Grace. Like the critical response was meh, and well, ratings haven't been like through the roof or anything.
No, but Murphy Brown is a character who's a member of the press, so therefore the show is trying to be as up to date as possible in commenting on the news, and maybe Golden Globe voters will respond to that. And just with these other shows like Forever and Camping, I haven't really heard anything about them like buzz wise. I've just heard about the names attached to them, but I haven't really heard them get like, maybe they have their praise, but I haven't really heard them gain much attention as like the best shows of the year or anything.
Well, Jennifer Garner could still get in based on the fact that she's, well, I will say movie star, even though she doesn't really have the best filmography on the planet, but she's still a big celebrity. So I could see the Hollywood Foreign Press wanting her there. Same could go for Maya Rudolph.
True, but I just I don't know. I just haven't really heard a lot of buzz around these shows, which makes me reluctant to predict them.
Hmm. And does that sound like your dog needs you again?
Yeah, I just really wish he would just. He, like I said, he hates being alone a lot of the time, and I try to. Well, he just wants bones a lot of the time. That's the problem.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's why it's hard to schedule these things, is I try to schedule it at a time when he'll nap most of the time, but that's not
Uh-huh.
always tricky when you're home alone.
Yeah, so I guess as for my rankings, I have Rachel Brosnahan, Alison Brie, Maya Rudolph, Jennifer Gardner, and Issa Rae for Insecure.
Yeah. Well, I think Issa Rae could get back in right before I take off real quick, just because of her acclaimed role recently in the movie The Hate You Give. I think that could certainly help her maintain buzz for Insecure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so I guess as soon as Alex gets back, we'll be moving into the categories of best TV movie or limited series. So hopefully he'll be back soon, and so we could be able to discuss them. There's, I guess, lots interesting stuff going on in these categories. Like, it's because unlike the Emmys, which has two separate categories for TV, movies, and limited series, the Golden Globes has them all combined. So it should be interesting to see what kind of lineup we'll end up getting with them. So hopefully, I'm still waiting, 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 waiting for you, waiting for you. Oh, sounds like he's coming back. Okay. Okay, so now that you're back, are you ready to move into the TV movie limited series categories?
Yep.
Great.
And so for best TV movie or limited series, the predicted contenders are The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Sharp Objects, Maniac, A Very English Scandal, and Escape at Dannemora. And I have, hold on. I do have those same five, but in a slightly different order.
Okay, let's hear it.
I actually have Sharp Objects in first place.
Ooh, I mean, that could definitely happen. I mean, it's a hot new show that, premiered just after the Emmy cutoff, so I could see the Golden Globes wanting to be the first to award it.
And then I have Assassination of Gianni Versace, and then Maniac, Escape at Dannemora, and then A Very English Scandal.
Okay, so my lineup is Gianni Versace, Sharp Objects, even though I could just see myself easily switching those two around, Escape at Dannemora, Maniac, and A Very English Scandal.
All right, so pretty similar there.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving on to TV movie limited actor, the predicted contenders are Darren Criss, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Hugh Grant, A Very English Scandal, Benedict Cumberbatch, Patrick Melrose, Benicio del Toro, Escape at Dannemora, and Jonah Hill, Maniac. And I have the same five contenders, but in a slightly different order. So my rankings are Darren Criss, Hugh Grant, Benicio del Toro, Jonah Hill, and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay, yeah, and I have a similar lineup, and I actually currently have Jonah Hill above Benicio del Toro, though I'm literally about to switch because I think a greater case can be made for Benicio because he's the movie star, Oscar winner, and of Hispanic descent, and I could see that very well just appealing to the Hollywood foreign press.
Plus, Escape at Dannemora is one of those true life stories where you would think at first that couldn't really have happened, could it? It seems like it could only happen in a movie. But no, it really did happen, and I would know because it happened in my own state of New York.
Wow.
Although I'm pretty far away. Like I live near Rochester and Dannemora is like way in the upper region, like near the Adirondacks.
Mm.
So quite a ways away from me, but not too far. I mean, probably only like 4 hours or so away. I mean, I remember hearing about it in the news, and everyone is just like, "What is this?" I mean, it was like, like it literally felt like it was right out of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
A prison guard having an affair with prisoners. She helps him escape. They literally go on the run, and I mean, wow. Yeah,
So,
and Ben Stiller of all people is directing this miniseries.
yeah, how about that?
And he's not even appearing in it, he's only directing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you never would have expected Ben Stiller to direct something this dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be almost like, I don't know, well, I mean, again, we've seen it happen before, but I guess now moving on to the next category.
All right, and next is TV movie limited actress, and the predicted contenders are Amy Adams, Sharp Objects, Emma Stone, Maniac, Patricia Arquette, Escape at Dannemora, Laura Dern, The Tale, and Regina King, 7 Seconds. And that is my exact lineup as well.
Okay, I have the same five getting in, though I guess my rankings are a little different. I do have Amy Adams winning. I think, again, very definition of a Golden Globe winner on the TV side, a movie star who does a mini series. There you go. Though I actually have a Patricia Arquette ranked below Amy. I guess especially if Globe voters would like to, be the first to put Escape at Dannemora on the map for Emmy watchers. But yeah, and then Emma Stone in my third place ranking, Regina King in fourth, and Laura Dern in fifth. I have Regina ranked higher mainly not only because of her surprise win at the Emmys, which literally almost no one saw coming, and it was coupled with the fact that her big Oscar buzz for If Beale Street Could Talk. So, in fact, it's interesting how we have three of the same people predicted to get at the Globes here and on the film side in supporting actress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I just think Regina King with 7 seconds. I put her last just because I think Golden Globe voters, they'll feel, well, we'll give it to her in the supporting actress for If Beale Street Could Talk. So there's really no need to give it to her here as well. And we've seen The Tale actually get nominated at some other precursors like The Gothams, even though it was technically a TV movie and not a theatrical movie. Although I do believe it was originally intended as a theatrical movie when
Right,
it.
because it was picked up by HBO from Sundance.
Yes, so maybe that makes it eligible for those shows, but I think also with The Tale, with its story about a woman and her dealing with her childhood abuse, that could maybe resonate with voters in a Me Too era. And plus, Laura Dern won last year in the supporting category for Big Little Lies, so she's
Yeah,
still riding the wave from that.
yes, and yeah, she's in that honeymoon period and a child of Hollywood.
hmm and then next up is the catch-all supporting actor in a TV series, limited series, TV movie category.
Yeah, this is
And
where they're all combined.
and the predicted contenders are Henry Winkler, Barry, Edgar Ramirez, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Ben Whishaw, A Very English Scandal, Brian Tyree Henry, Atlanta, and Joseph Fiennes, The Handmaid's Tale. So I have four of the top five. I do have Henry Winkler and Edgar Ramirez in the top two, but in third place, I actually have Tony Shalhoub for The Marvelous Mrs.
Ooh.
Maisel. And then I have Brian Tyree Henry in fourth and Ben Whishaw in fifth.
Okay, here's my rankings. I have Henry Winkler. I think the fresh off his first primetime Emmy victory helps. Edgar Ramirez, Brian Tyree Henry, Ben Whishaw, and Alan Arkin for the Kaminsky Method.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think Alan Arkin does have somewhat of a shot at getting in. Um, it'll just be remaining. Yeah, we'll just have to see if he can knock out any of the bottom two to get in, though.
Well, yeah,
Because
I mean,
these supporting races are always a very crowded field just because they're so catch-all.
yeah, yeah, Joseph Fiennes, I could totally see making the cut. I mean, he did the Emmys this past year, so he could do it again. And and Tony Shalhoub, he is the veteran actor in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and he's obviously fresh off not only nomination for that, but also as Tony win for the band's visit. So I guess anything's possible.
hmm And then finally, for TV supporting actress in a series, limited series, or TV movie, the predicted contenders are Patricia Clarkson, Sharp Objects, Tandy Newton, Westworld, Penelope Cruz, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Alex Borstein, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and Yvonne Strahovski, The Handmaid's Tale.
Hmm.
So I have the same five, but my rankings are very different. I have
Okay.
Penelope Cruz in first place, followed by Tandy Newton, then Patricia Clarkson, then Alex Borstein, and then Yvonne Strahovski.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay. I think um, I have. I think I have a similar lineup to you. I have, yeah, Penelope Cruz. Yeah, definition of a Golden Globe winner here. I mean, she's a movie star of Spanish descent, who's
Oscar winner.
yes, Oscar winner as well. So yeah, yeah,
Playing and she plays a real person who's still very much alive, Donatella Versace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, I could see that happening. And oh yeah, my overall rankings: Penelope Cruz, Tandy Newton. I think her recent surprise victory at the Emmys probably helps. Patricia Clarkson, Yvonne Strahovski, and Alex Borstein.
hmm I just have Alex a little higher than Yvonne simply because of her double Emmy win, not only for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but also Family Guy.
I guess that's
Whereas,
possible.
whereas with Yvonne Strahovski, I have her last not only because of her Emmy loss, but because of the fact that her character as Serena Joy is very divisive,
Hmm.
because she comes up with a dilemma of should you sympathize with her or not. You could say yes because she was physically beaten by her husband, and even though she helped create this system, she's still a victim of it. But then again, because she created this system of women being oppressed, she gets to benefit from it in a way.
Hmm.
So like there's the dilemma of can you sympathize with an unsympathetic character or should you?
Hmm. Okay.
Some voters clearly may think no.
Well, that's a good point. Though I guess I have Yvonne ranked a little higher because, well, I mean, she's in Australia. She's Australian, so and we seeing how Hollywood Foreign Press loves people from other countries, so that could. But yeah, in any case, I at least have them both getting in,
Hmm.
her and Alex Borstein.
Yeah. So, all right. So it looks like we're pretty similar there. And that is our last category.
Yes, we officially got covered all categories at the Golden Globes. Again, nominations will be announced tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock or something. Well, at least around that time. So, I guess are you going to be able to watch the announcements live, or is that going to have to wait later?
I'm probably going to have to catch it later.
Okay, but yeah, luckily I should be able to watch them. So in any case, to all you folks watching, well, I guess good luck with your predictions, and hopefully any one of us can all do the best we can. So we'll see you all later.
Bye.